All right. So a couple of questions that I have for you now that you've seen Ricky Pearsall for a full practice, whatever. Number one, does he look like a first round pick?
Um, I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no. I don't think he looks like a first round pick. I think he looks like um a guy who's got good stop and start, really good agility. Like this guy looks like he's really worked on his three cone. He's really worked on his short area agility and ability to turn and his footwork. But he just doesn't. He didn't look like a first round draft choice athlete where you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that guy stands
That's the
out.
guy they picked in the first round. He didn't
Right.
look like that guy.
He didn't look like a first round draft choice
So let me ask
athlete.
you this. Debo pick was an early second round pick, correct?
Yeah,
When you first saw Debo, did you get it? Right? When you first saw him.
totally. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
When you
Because you
saw
could
Brandon
see.
Ayuk, so when you saw Brandon Ayuk, did you see it? Did you see the talent? Did you say, okay, I see why they moved heaven to
Well,
their
I
feet?
loved Ayuk from his sophomore year. So I saw
Oh,
him
well,
as a
damn.
sophomore at
Okay.
ASU.
Okay.
I saw him as a return guy. I thought he was super explosive. I thought he was kind of a burner. Um,
Okay.
he's he's actually become less of a burner and more of a big bodied guy. He to me, I saw a guy who could run exceptionally fast, but he is his real thing is that he's got these long arms where he's 6'1", but he plays like 6'4".
Okay. So because exactly, we're not gonna go with because this is what I want to do. I don't want to get into context and not no, I want to get into things that we all can know and feel. First impressions are a big thing to me, right? Especially when you see a player. Before you start telling yourself a story about what you believe about this guy, you got to be able to look at him and say, okay, this is the product. This is what I believe about him. So, as far as athletically, the first time you see him, did he look like a plus athlete? Did he look like he was the most athletic guy out there in the receiver group? Was he finishing the drills the fastest? Was he pushing for the reps? What was his attitude? Was he peacocking or was he trying to get along with everybody? Like was he stealing reps? Was he trying to be the first in the reps? Was he getting mad at himself
Are you
with
talking about
thoughts?
Pearsall?
Yeah.
Pearsall was leading the reps. He was first
Okay.
in line. So first it was Tay Martin, and then I think the wide receiver coach was getting frustrated with Tay Martin, and then had Pearsall and Cowing at the front of the drill. So
Okay.
they were leading the way. He looks like he's been put through the paces. Like he knows all the drills. Everything looked very comfortable to him. He didn't seem like a rookie in any way. He's got good size. He just doesn't have the awesome, like, first round, um, athleticism as far as like, he just doesn't look like he looks like he's going to be effective, but he doesn't look wow, look at that guy. That guy really stands out.
Mhm.
Um, I thought Cowing looked better in some of the drills, to be honest,
How do you look in one
than
on ones?
Pearsall. Well, we didn't see tons of one-on-ones, but, the only thing I didn't like about Pearsall, some of the one of the quarterbacks that he was playing with, I think the kid from Davidson, threw the ball really high one time, and, it's like he didn't even jump for it because it was, like, way high,
He
and
didn't
it
even
it
try.
looked
He didn't
kinda
even
like
believe
he
he
was
could do
big
it.
leaguing him a little bit, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you want me to go up in the air for that?" I mean, that was 5 feet above, you know? So it was an errant throw, and he just didn't go for it. But, he definitely looks polished as far as he looks like a guy who knows how to run a route. He looks like a guy who knows how to sink his hips. He knows how to kinda get in and out of the route, pretty efficiently. The footwork is really good. You can see where he could turn guys into a pretzel with the turns and the stop and start.
How do you look
But
in how's he look against man? That's what everybody's talking about. Is he a strong? Oh, now one thing I noticed about
He had a
Counting is it? You said
67% career success rate against man, I believe.
I don't know. Well, I don't even know the. Okay, is that good?
Yeah, 67% would
Okay,
be good.
great.
I mean, it's not spectacular. It's not 77 or something like that, but it's still pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, it's press here to me. I mean, I've read about 15 different scouting reports on him and watched him a bunch. To me, it
Mm,
comes down to two things: balance and toughness. How good of contact balance does he have? Because it's like what I'm seeing a lot on film is him running a really good route, sitting in the soft spot on his own, or getting open against man, making the catch and going to the ground. He's
mm.
not Ayuk. He's
Yak
not Debo. He's not a yak monster. He's like, he's gonna catch it and go down.
and fall.
And so it's like if it's 3rd and 6, he's got to run a 7-yard pattern and catch the ball and then go down. He's not going to run for 3 and then juke a guy, make another guy miss, and carry another guy for the extra yards. He's got to run to the sticks, catch it, and lay down. That's kind of his thing. It seems like he's not a run after the catch receiver at all. He's a what he's going to be. I think is going to be a continuity piece to keep the offense on the field. He's going to be kind of like a glorified tight end in that, when you got to have 5 yards, he's going to give you 5 yards, and it's going to be borderline. It's going to be kind of like Puka. It's like, it felt like Stafford to Puka on those stop routes and the little in cutters and out cutters. I mean, it almost felt like if they were in lockstep with one another, like you couldn't defend it. Well,
Mhm.
you get that same vibe with Pearsall. That's really going to be his thing, is that you're going to know Purdy's going to him, but he's going to know what the route is. Purdy's going to know what the route is. Purdy's going to throw the ball with anticipation. This guy's going to run a disciplined route, be in the right spot at the right time, and it's going to hit him in the hands. He's going to hold on. It's going to be a first down. And you're going to sit there and go, I'm glad this guy's on the team because, he's keeping the offense on the field. So, but he's not going to be like, hey, I threw it to him at the 10 and he, made another guy miss and ran in, or I threw it to him at the 30 and he ran the rest of the way. He's going to catch it and go down.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so with understanding that, where does he fit if everybody plays? If Jawan plays, Debo plays, BA plays, where does our first round draft pick, where does he make it on the field?
I think he's just going to be, he's going to be in a rotation. He's going to come in certain situations and, definitely in some 3 wide receiver sets. He'll probably, get some reps. But I think he's going to be a guy that when they go to an obvious passing down situation and they need to convert, that he's going to be a very difficult guy to defend. I mean, this is why I don't want to be real critical of him, and I would encourage others to not be real critical of him
Mhm.
because, here's the thing. Yeah, I think we're all right in that, like, he doesn't have first round athleticism, and there probably were other guys, maybe even better players they could have gone with as far as line of scrimmage at that spot, especially since they went with Cowing late and they're already deep at wide receiver. But what this guy's going to be is that maddening player to defend. And
Yeah, like a
that's
Hunter
why I
Renfro,
do like him, because it's like, it's like you're trying to get
Puka.
off the field, you're trying to get off the field, you're trying to get off the
Don't
field.
have anybody that's going to guard this kid.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the things I thought was really strong about Detroit this year is that one of the reasons they were so good was that when they needed 3rd and 6, Amon Ra could run a 8-yard whatever pattern, and Goff could throw it with anticipation, a little laser, and it was like unstoppable because you didn't know where he was going, and Goff did know where he was going, and the guy's got ball skills and can catch it and this and that. I see the same thing with Pearsall. It's like once Pearsall and Purdy get in lockstep and they have, couple weeks in camp to rep it out, Brock Purdy's going to know, hey, you know what? This guy, one thing I love about Pearsall when you watch the film is when the quarterback moves, he moves. So it's like he keeps the play alive. So it's like the play that's called in the huddle, okay, that's one thing. But when the quarterback changes platform and moves 10 feet to the left, he finds a way to work to an open spot. Well, on this 49er team, that could be just unstoppable. If Brock moves 8 feet to the right and this guy moves, break gets a little separation on that secondary movement from the quarterback, and all of a sudden it's pitch and catch and the chains are moving. So I think he's going to be more of an effective chain mover, continuity piece, borderline kind of tight end, possession receiver. And I think he'll be effective, but I don't know that we're ever going to sit there and go, you know what? They don't need Debo. They don't need Ayuk. They've got Pearsall. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, so you don't think
He's
he's
a
actually
great
gonna he's a
complimentary receiver.
so he's a complimentary receiver. You don't think he's a replacement of anybody that we have?
Right. I don't think he's definitely not a boundary X like Ayuk, who can get open against any kind of coverage and run after the catch. And he's not doesn't those physical dominant traits. They're all different, right? All these guys are a
So
little bit different. I mean,
okay,
Debo doesn't have great route running, right? But he's
right.
powerful as hell, will run through you. This guy doesn't. This guy's got great route running. He's not real powerful, isn't going to run through you. But you know what?
So he's a
Good.
before the catch athlete
Yeah, well, it's going to be like good luck getting Brock Purdy off the field
with
when
this guy
he's
on the
got
field.
Ayuk and McCaffrey and all these different weapons. And then also, by the way, on third downs, we're going to take, I don't know, Debo off the field, and Jennings and Ayuk and this guy are going to be out there together. And this guy's going to run a 6-yard, in route on 3rd and 4. He's going to catch it, and the team's going to move the chains. So I mean, he's like a really, really, really good possession receiver. I kind of think he's kind of like a poor man's Cup, kind of a poor man's Cooper Cup.
All right. So
Not as quick, but maybe a little stronger. Definitely a
so
little faster.
so what I'll say is this. What do you think about us getting a complimentary player in the first round then?
I don't love it. I mean, to me, your center's Jake Brendel. He got owned by DJ Reader. DJ Reader's now a Detroit Lion. For that reason alone, I would have taken Zach Frazier. I would have
Yeah.
had. I would have wanted that strong nose guard, plug and play, or strong center, I should say, plug and play, and really build that fortress around Brock. But they obviously felt like Pearsall was the guy. I mean, I will say this: I like the fact that the Ravens general manager touted him. Now Jesse was saying, "Hey, if he picked somebody else 1 pick earlier." Yeah, that's true, but I mean, just doesn't mean that So I mean, I think Pearsall probably was like a mid-second round pick, and they took him in the late first. Renardo Green was probably like a late 3rd round pick, mid-3rd round pick, and they took him in the late 2nd. So
Yeah.
a couple of their picks you could say they overdrafted, but to me, when half a
I could say that
round,
Puka Nakua got overdrafted too.
what round didn't he go in the 5th? Or
Yeah,
he
I
went in the
think the
5th,
fourth. I think he got picked up in the fourth.
4th. Yeah, I mean, Puka is. I mean, when you're watching Stafford and you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, how do you get your defense off the field against the Rams right now? Well, part of it is that Puka can run all these little rub routes and all these little 5-yard routes and get open, and it's maddening, but it's effective. And I think, I don't think it's any accident that a guy like Pearsall may have been overdrafted the year after Puka became, most prolific rookie receiver in years. So it's a copycat league. Everybody's looking for the same thing. And once people saw how dangerous Puka could be in those little stop routes and those little 5-yard routes, suddenly it's like, hey, look, you
We
know,
don't need an offensive line when we get the ball out that fast. I
and
already
Shannon
can see.
and I'm sure Shanahan probably after watching the Super Bowl is a little frustrated with the lack of route running of some of his receivers, the way that Snead and McDuffie kind of shut down Ayuk and Debo, and maybe he wants somebody. I mean, both the receivers they added have exceptional, ball skills and route running and hands, and so they're refined receivers. So maybe Shanahan saw the way the Super Bowl went and wants a different looking receiver.
I just feel like the Pearsall pick is planned obsolescence. It's like we're not really trying to get a guy that's going to go into a second year contract and we're going to actually keep and mold and give equity into. I think that they're getting him as a complimentary piece that they know is going to fizzle out down the road. That's why they picked him up because
I don't know if he'll fizzle out, but like they know in their mind. I liked Xavier Leggett. He went next, right? He went with the next pick. I would have taken the Georgia kid McConkey probably over Pearsall just on the 40 time.
yeah, me too.
But I mean he's also a durability risk, and I didn't love him. I was liking him more and more as the thing went on. But yeah, I would have gone for A.D. Mitchell or one of those other receivers.
Well, we got
Um,
our guy.
but they wanted a guy. I mean that's the thing. They took a guy, two guys that I think can really help them.
Hmm.
And the one thing is you can't say that the Pearsall pick was a bad pick because look what you have at quarterback. You have a quarterback that loves to work in the middle of the field and loves to buy himself extra time. And, this guy is almost Pearsall in a lot of ways is the perfect receiver to play with Brock Purdy because he works back to the quarterback when the quarterback moves and buys extra time. This guy finds an open wrinkle in the defense, sits down, and makes the catch. So that potentially could be very, very effective. That's the only thing. It's like I liked other guys better. I would have gone with Michael Hall or Rukaroro on the defensive line, or Zach Frazier. Maybe even a different receiver.
Or Xavier Leggett.
Xavier Leggett. But I do understand why they like this guy, why they think he's a good fit. And like, if you told me that, there's potential for Purdy to Pearsall to be a prolific, combination, I could see it because Purdy's super accurate and this guy's super exact in
I
his
see
route
it. I
running.
see it. Yeah. I'm not going to. This is what I will say. We could talk about what they could have, should have done, but it's also incredibly disingenuous to say that we all would have made the right decision had we been in that position, had we been the one to pull the trigger. So they made the pick, right? I feel like we're asking all of the questions that deserve to be asked. Like, was it a reach? Could we have done better? Because that's fair. But now that we do have them, you can't be blind to the fact that you don't see the syntax, right? You see why they're doing this. They're trying to connect Brock with another weapon, somebody else that he can get the ball out to quickly, somebody else that he can use the way he used Christian as, the same way he uses George. And in this day and age of the NFL, you're right. It is a bit of a copycat league, and Puka Nakua and guys that are in Amon-Ra St. Brown and these slots who are, they're positioned as slots on the field, but they move like number one receivers as far as like the way they're dependent on, especially in short yardage downs. I love the point that you brought up with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. Like that's an incredible advantage for him to be able to have that in his back pocket whenever he just wants to get a timing route. And that honestly leans into what Brock does. So I want to give him a chance. But just optically right now, I would have to see how his skill set lays on our scheme, right? Because I just would have to see it. But pound for pound, he just doesn't wow anybody. He doesn't wow me. right? But inside of our offense, he could definitely be somebody that could be a huge contributor. So I want to give him grace, right? He didn't ask to
Well,
be
it's
here.
like anything else too. It's like, certain receivers, like if I say to you, who are the best receivers in football? People are going to say Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. They're going to name like 5 or 6 guys. And then they're going to name Cooper Kupp, right? He's not ever going to be the first guy you name, but he's damn good, right? But it's like,
Mhm.
why do we not name him first? Because he's more effective than he is like awesome, right?
Yeah.
You when you watch Jamar Chase, I mean, you're like, oh, that guy's awesome. Justin Jefferson, oh man, that guy's awesome. When you watch Cooper Kupp, you're like, damn, that guy's oddly effective.
Yeah, he's a product of what's designed for him, right? Like he's not necessarily going to go out and go hunt for his own food, you know,
He's a
but
4.62 guy. I mean, he doesn't even run that well, but he's got good quickness, great route running, great hands. He's in lockstep with his quarterback. The quarterback knows exactly where he's going to be. He's always exactly where he's supposed to be.
right.
And then he just catches it in a crowd. He takes a little lick. He goes to the ground. He doesn't have, like, if you said, give me the 15 best highlight reel plays from wide receivers in the NFL, I bet you none of them come from Cooper Kupp.
I mean, when's the last
But
time you could think of a
third
great
and
slot
seven,
receiver? Where's the great slot receiver that got picked up in the first round? Like, who's that guy? Like, who's the like the Hall of Fame slot receiver that led his team to multiple winning seasons and was in and went into the Hall of Fame? Who's that guy?
Art
Like,
Monk or
who's the
some.
Art Monk was not a slot receiver.
But I
Like,
mean, Art
but
Monk
but
was a
but that's the point that I'm trying to make though. Like, name the team that put their entire brain trust together, and what they came up with is in the first round, we're gonna go get this slot receiver. And you know what? This is gonna be a guy that's gonna make it to his second contract. He's gonna be on the program. We're gonna put this kid out to go kiss babies. He's gonna be the Make a Wish Foundation guy. Name that slot receiver that a team pounded the table for and said, we gotta have this guy. And everybody stood up and high-fived each other once they got him. Who's that slot receiver?
I mean, is Tyreek Hill considered a slot receiver?
No.
I mean, small. I mean, small two-way break guys who are, I mean, it kind of reminds me of being in the Canadian League. It's like, the slot receiver. There's
It's just
guys
an
in,
odd position to pick in the first round. Like you can,
yeah.
that's the only thing. It's just odd.
Well, I'll say this though, it's becoming slot corner, I think, is more valuable than ever before, and slot receivers are being utilized more than ever before. So you better be able to defend the slot. God knows that McDuffie was super great at defending the slot at times in the Super Bowl. Um, it's to me, it's about impressive versus effective. I just think a guy like Pearsall, I don't think that he's ever going to be your number one receiver. So I don't like drafting any wide receiver in the first round that doesn't have potential to be my number one receiver. So that's why I didn't like it initially, because I'm like, yeah, he's a really effective, ready to play,
All right, hold on.
slot
And
receiver,
I want
but
to
is
be, I
he
want to
ever going to
see,
be your number one
and I want to be
receiver? And I would
respectful,
say
and I want to
no.
be respectful. I want to be respectful because I'm a chat baby. So I'm not going to act like I don't see the chat. Percy Harvin, is this kid Percy Harvin? Is Ricky Pearsall on the level of Percy Harvin?
Different players. Like Percy was really explosively fast, but didn't have this kid's route running ability at all. I mean, this guy to me is more like kind of um, kind of like if you crossed Ozakeem and Isaac Bruce, or Ozakeem and Torrey Holt. Like Torrey Holt was more of a route runner. Akeem was
Amar.
more.
You just said that he's quicker, bigger, and more athletic than Percy Harvin.
No. Percy Harvin's faster than he is.
No. Amar Singh. I'm looking at my man in
Oh,
the chat right now. He said he's quicker, bigger, and more athletic than Percy Harvin. Are you? We
no,
need to
but
start giving out drug tests for the chat. This is nuts.
Percy Harvin also had migraines and had some off field issues, but I mean, Percy Harvin was really, really tough too. And it's like, is this kid tough? I don't know. I mean, that's that to me. The big question is just how much balance does this guy have? I saw him on the ground way too much. And can he get out? Can he beat the jam? Can he get off the line of scrimmage against the best corners with length and tenacity? Can he beat those guys off the line? That's my first one. The second one is just, does he have balance and how tough is he? It's like, can he play the game on his feet? And is he tough? Is he tough enough to get off the line? Is he tough enough to take a big hit and hold on? Is he tough enough to take a big hit and not have wind up with alligator arms the next time? Is he looking for the big hit across the middle after a while because he hears footsteps because he's not the biggest guy? I don't know. To me, if you told me like all the people said, well, he's kind of a bigger, faster Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman was like one of the toughest receivers the league's ever seen.
Yeah.
So don't tell me he's Julian Edelman. Julian
I
Edelman
would
was
love to see him
rarely
get his
tough.
own. I would love to see him carve out a niche for himself because as a first round pick coming in, you got to have a niche, right? Like him just being a serviceable receiver is not enough, right? So I would like to see with what his skill set is, right? He's very polished, right? Really good route runner, reliable hands, plus speed. I just want to see where that is going to be. Where's that going to fit in, right? How are you going to
It
be
has
able?
to fit in as a continuity thing. So when I say that, what I mean is your offense has got to stay on the field because every time you get to 3rd and 5, Purdy finds this guy and nobody can stop it. That's what that if you want to say what are the Niners hoping for, I gotta think that's the hope, right? That this guy is such a good route runner with such great hands, and Purdy's so good at extending plays with his legs that every time they get to 3rd down and 5, Purdy can find this guy at will, and it's borderline unstoppable. That to me, if you say, what do I hope to get out of this? That's what I'm hoping to get is that they get a guy who's just almost an unstoppable short and intermediate guy on 3rd downs.
Okay.